you all?
Good.
Frozen?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
How about you? You nice and warm over there?
It's cold.
Should have had this last night. It was 20 degrees warm. Guess that's all we have for
That's
now.
it for this one.
Okay. Good evening and welcome. And first, a thank you to the Columbiana and Fairfield Township Historical Society, and especially Debbie Himes and Jay Groner for arranging this, the third cemetery walking tour for the Historical Society's capital fund. To me, this event is just genius. I could have never dreamed it up in a million years. I'm Bill Hoover, and I'm doing the businessman section of the tour on my dad, Donald Hoover. You have to be older to remember him, as he would now be 106 years old. Other possibilities could have been my grandfather, Gould Moore, who had a part-time upholstery business on Union Street, or my great-uncle Clyde, who owned Columbiana Pump before it was Reliance Electric. He also served as mayor at one time. As Debbie says, everyone who has ever lived in Columbiana is part of the fabric of the history of the town. So there are enough possible stories for many future cemetery tours. You can talk to them if you have any ideas for a presentation or want to do one yourself. Don Hoover was born in Indianapolis in 1918, while my grandfather Howard Hoover was serving in the Army during World War I. He graduated from Columbiana High School and began working as a machinist. At 21, he was in a car accident on Old Route 14. I believe it was somewhere near the bridge out there by McMaster Farms. You can read all these old stories in the Columbiana Salem News archives online. He suffered a broken vertebrae and was told that he might not ever walk again, but he did. It was 1939 by then, and World War II was beginning in Europe. Dad thought that the U.S. Would soon be involved, so he enlisted in the Army Air Corps. He served in England as a loadmaster, loading bombers bound for Germany. I heard him say once that he felt so sorry for the air crews, as so many of them never returned. He later served in France. Debbie even found an article that I had never seen from the Salem News in 1942 about my dad while he was in gun school. He was recognized for being able to dismantle and reassemble a 20mm gun in 21 minutes and 50 seconds. That was after 4 days in school. He was honorably discharged, and I've been told was the first Columbiana serviceman to return home. The story goes on that he ordered and had the first new car in town after the war, purchasing it from Huntington Motors, which is where Elite Welding is now, and the name Huntington is still on the building if you look. His family lived on Spruce Street, including 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He met my mother, Ann Moore, who lived on Pittsburgh Street. They were married in 1946 and moved to North Main Street behind Calvin's service station, there next to Ace Hardware. In her life, she worked at a grocery store in Columbiana. I think the name of it was Mathers. I might be corrected on that. She worked at B&N, which was a transportation company where the VFW used to be, and you can still see remnants of that if you drive down there. Later years, she worked at NRM and the New Hudson Bank. The gas station was a good place for the young guys to hang out before and after the war, as the story goes. While in the service, my dad and others wrote letters back to Irwood Calvin. The letters were found in the attic there a few years ago by Dick Simpson. He put them on CD and gave the CD to me. The originals are now in notebooks up there at the Historical Society. Dad did a number of things after the war. He sold Army surplus for a time. He then had a business venture named Hoover Pump and Supply Company, which he discontinued, but not before he convinced a fellow machinist, Edgar Bell, to start Bell Well Drilling, which was continued by his son Tom until it was recently sold to Dillon Well Drilling. Next was a builder supply venture with my Uncle Charles Rohr. They were there somewhere. Let's see, at some point they parted ways and it became Rohr Builder Supply. Concrete delivery was added, and it is still, of course, on Duquesne Street, and it's Dickey's. Next was the machine shop adventure as a partnership with a fellow machinist, Sheldon Franken, who he worked with at Arms Industries, which was where Ohio Drum is now on Esterly Drive, out near what used to be Kaiser Home. Shelley had an interesting hobby of raising homing pigeons. He lived out on Fairfield Avenue there by Save-A-Lot. They used to crate these pigeons up, ship them to a destination, and they would let them go at a certain time, and they would time them to come back home. I don't know if anybody even does it. It's interesting. By now it was 1953. They rented half of a building from a fellow that had a weld shop at the present location of Fairfield Machine on Lower Upper Hill. They eventually acquired the whole building, and it grew to what it is now, from humble beginnings, which didn't even have indoor facilities. I remember. Through a lot of hard work, including weekends, Fairfield Machine was successful. He even found time to serve on the zoning commission, and he did enjoy amateur radio. Unfortunately, 11 years after the start of Fairfield Machine, my father died in 1964. Mr. Franken's new partner was Alex Shishadi, an engineer that he had known through his amateur radio contracts. Mr. Shishadi's the fellow that built that house out on Lower Elton Road, or on Lodge Road, yes, Lodge Road, that had the rotating living room. Both, of course, retired and are gone now, but the business continued until just this year when the building was acquired by Comco and some of the manufacturing was moved to Canada. So it lasted over 71 years. So this was Don Hoover's life, though short, woven into the fabric of Columbiana's business community. That's all I have. Thank you. And the next tour is to the Colonel.
Thank you.
Thank you.